Nowadays, it's harder than ever to be in the market for board games or card games and not come across the term TCG. But what actually is a TCG and what makes them so appealing? Well, let's find out today on Tabletop Goodness. TCG stands for Trading Card Game, with the term CCG, Collectible Card Game, sometimes used synonymously. Strictly speaking though, the difference between those two terms is the trading aspect of the game, where players would traditionally meet up and trade one card for another. This type of game has been mostly influenced by Magic the Gathering, created by Richard Garfield in 1993. Since then, many other games have joined the genre, and Magic has become a multi-billion enterprise with many brand tie-ins along the way. This just goes to show how much potential lies in, what is essentially cardstock. So, what makes a game collectible? One of the defining traits of CCGs is artificial scarcity of some cards. That means that some cards are printed more often than others. This is referred to as card rarity. Cards are printed onto sheets and cut into individual cards afterwards. So if the sheet has, for argument's sake, one card printed on it 50 times and another one just 5 times, it is much more rare than the one that's printed on 50 times. As these type of games became more and more popular, a large secondary market started to develop that entirely focused on selling cards, especially the rare ones. And with that came, a lot of issues like counterfeits, scams, and price hikes and falls, akin to the actual stock market. But why did those games take off so much? Well, there is a certain kind of gambling aspect to them, although this has, to my knowledge, actually never been ruled as gambling, as these games follow the same rules as for baseball card distribution. Usually, you'd buy what's called a booster. That is a sealed pack of cards that you'd go ahead and open. In this booster, you'd find different cards in what's called different slots. For example, the third slot in that booster would be the third card. Usually, it is known which slots can have a higher rarity card than other slots, so the odds are known before opening the pack. Another factor is the population of cards, or more commonly called the set. Every CCG has a new release every few months in order to keep players' interest up. This release is called a set, and they often have, say, around 150 to 200 new cards, some of them more common, some of them more rare. By opening a booster, you get, say, 5 common cards, maybe 1 to 2 rare cards, and maybe a special card. A lot of maybes, and you also don't know which of those rare or special cards you might get. There's a whole economy built around the let's open just one more booster mentality in order to find the one card you really want to have. Having acquired a deck of cards, this can either be a self-constructed deck following tight deck building rules, or by buying a starter deck which contains a known list of cards you can challenge another player. A lot of early day CCGs were 2-player only games, with more recent games, supporting 4 players or even more. This means that there is a lot of competition around who can build the best deck, which also drives the prices of certain cards. Some of the games feature, big tournaments with chances to win exclusive prizes and titles, while others are so-called kitchen table TCGs, meant to be played and enjoyed in a much more casual setting, like your own home. And the deck is easy to bring along, and nowadays, there are many game stores that host events on a weekly basis. This brings like-minded people together and lets them test new games, decks, and even collect special promotional items. What once started out as only one game exploded exponentially over the years, so there are what I can only guess are around hundreds of TCGs, a lot of them ending up, though, as what's called Dead TCGs. If a TCG does not manage to keep up the interest of its player base, they will eventually move on to the next one, rendering the former TCG dead. A TCG is only ever as good, strong, and interesting as its very devoted player base. While there are a lot of digital games on the market that mimic everything the TCGs are standing for, the one thing, actual cardstock, is what they can't mimic. They include, fancy animations and other mechanics only possible in the digital world, but interestingly, this introduction did not make a massive dent in people's interest in physical card games. Quite the opposite, really. A lot of former digital games have been released with physical counterparts in the meantime. I guess this does speak for the need of in-person interaction with your opponent or fellow players, as well as the, tactile and collectible nature of actual cards. Well, I hope this gave you a good insight into what constitutes a TCG, why they've taken the world by storm, and why social aspects like in-person meetings still win against digital-only interaction. So, are you playing TCGs, and if so, what was the TCG that got you into the whole genre? Let me know in the comments down below, and in the meantime, see you again soon on Tabletop Goodness.